Hi there, and thanks for watching this short LTAG technical analysis Q&A session. Today we're going to look at, should we be using fundamental or technical analysis? Let's have a look. Whether or not to use fundamental analysis or technical analysis, that is probably the most frequent question that is asked of us. Most people, of course, are only familiar with fundamental analysis. So fundamental analysis is using company records, company accounts, annual reports, earnings statements, all of those, and various financial ratios, which they'll have been taught in various business schools, to analyze a company. That's what Warren Buffett has been doing for a very long time. And many people who use fundamental analysis poo-poo technical analysis, and vice versa. Traditional technical analysis poo-poo fundamental analysis. They say that price action is the only thing to look at. At LTAG, we take a different view. We take the view that you should use all available information, be it fundamental or technical. And to explain that, we're going to quickly look at Tesla, the Tesla share price and stock chart. And we're looking at that on the daily time frame. And these red and green bars are price moving down and price moving up. Let's look at it more closely. So let's remember, with technical analysis, what we're looking for in general is how price is oscillating and when the price is going to turn in one direction or the next. So these oscillations that we see here. The nature of technical analysis, that the tools within technical analysis enable you to have a view as when these turning points will happen. Technical analysis says that if the company has stonkingly good earnings or stonkingly bad earnings, there'll be a commensurate change in price also. So really, you can't do without one or the other. On TradingView, you can see that these little E's at the bottom, these are when there were earnings reports. These little S's mean that there were stock splits. And this little purple E here means that there's a forecast earnings coming up sometime in around the end of July. Now the interesting point is that if you're looking for oscillations or cycles, as it's said in or talked about in technical analysis, you can match your cycles oftentimes to what is happening on the news. Let's take this one here. So in late January of this year, 2023, probably people were expecting good news from Tesla after a fairly dismal period, and so the price went up. It didn't go up too much because people are wary, but then so soon as the news arrived and it was better than they had expected, notice this little gap in the price here that we can see here. This is called a gap, and it's basically a jump in price. So the news was better than people had expected, and so the price continued to rise until it got to a point where people said, well, that's probably enough for now. And then they started selling and banking their profit, which is a very typical approach. If you're interested in gaps, we've got another video on this channel which talks about, are these gaps filled? In this instance, it wasn't filled for a very long time and then only minorly. So in fact, it was never filled. So this news was very good. So would you ignore fundamentals? This would say no, you shouldn't. Once again, we had an expectation at this point from the market that the news may be bad. That's why there was a bit of a sideways motion. The news arrived. It probably wasn't quite as bad as people expected. There was a little bit of selling, probably by traders, and then people went, no, actually that news was good. And so we're now on a massive bull run on Tesla with a small correction with a degree of profit taking here. So quite clearly, you can't do technical analysis without a perspective of what's happening to the company that you're following. You do need fundamentals as well as technicals. On most trading platforms and here on TradingView, you can get a wealth of information about fundamental analysis. You can see here, I'm just pulling up some of the information that's available. There's information on the volume of shares traded per day, the overall market capitalization of the company, but also we can see information about earnings, we can see information about income, and there's a wealth of information about income all the way through to statements, statistics, dividends, earnings, revenue, and so forth. And there's also broker reports, which we can see down here in terms of what do the analysts that follow Tesla think is going to happen. They're rating it right now as a strong buy across the aggregate of analysts, which is 35. There are 35 analysts following Tesla. And if you can't be bothered or want to learn technical analysis, you can take a snapshot view from TradingView, and TradingView generates automatically perspectives on how the technicals are shaping up across some fairly straightforward and simplistic indicators, and it's also showing a strong buy on moving averages and various oscillators at neutral. So overall it's a buy, which complements the analyst rating of buy. So the point I want to make is that you can't really do without one or the other. And at LTAG, we teach all of our clients to be able to see the wood for the trees by looking at both fundamental news and also what the technical indicators that we teach them are indicating. So you need both. That's the answer to the question. Do you need fundamentals or technicals? Yes, you do. You need both. Don't be swung by one camp or the other. Use all available information. I hope you found that little explanation of fundamentals versus technicals useful, and I'll see you on our next Q&A video. Look forward to that. Bye.